Good Friday night, everybody. Thank God it's Griday, right? All I can tell you is we're here. I have had I'm Spirit of 420 because everything I do is so 420. How are all you doing? Uh, Tonight was like it was comforting. Tonight was kind of a typical Friday after all the holiday woes and holiday ups and downs. Um, you know, what I mean by that is did some of the things that a normal Friday brings about, including going out and getting some Panda Express, which we hadn't had in since I think probably before Thanksgiving. So it was nice to get some Panda in us. And anybody who says that Panda Express sucks, well, whatever. We don't think they do. We think they're delicious, quite frankly. So, um, where are we? Where are we? That's that's a good question, isn't it? I will say this. I am in a better place and I'm trying to come to get there. Excuse me for slurping. I apologize. Um, I'm trying to get there as I've written a couple times now, 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time. And I think I'm doing a little bit better. And what I mean by that is I truly look at what he wants, right? And I know he wants me to be happy. He probably wants me to and over it. I know my son. He would at this point, you know, um, damn near 15 months. He would tell me to get over it. He would if he was here. I'm telling you. I mean, I know my son. Uh, and the way that I look at it is, as I've gotten to this point, it's funny because my father sent this thing on grief that somebody had done. It happens lots of times this time of year because there's so many people we're saying goodbye to. Right at the end of the year, we say goodbye to all these um, people who have passed away, who have any kind of fame or notoriety. And what's her name? Jane Pauley. See, these names are. I still remember these names because I grew up with him. A lot of people don't know who fuck Jane Pauley is, but she's been around forever, and she does a Sunday broadcast, and she was doing this thing about grief, and then it led to Cooper Anderson or Anderson Cooper, whatever his name is. And although I liked some of what was being said, to me, and I know you're going to think this is funny, I believe I believe that money alters things, right? And if you are going through grief and your your parents are famous and notable and all these other things, I don't think I don't believe, and obviously, I'm not trying to judge. I'm really not. I'm trying to put myself in that shoes. I don't believe that the pain is going to be measurably the same for any of what he said because it was two parents and a brother, right? And then he's talking about how he looked through and he's finding all these famous people. I mean, if you know this guy, like everybody he deals with is famous. I mean, like he's famous. His parents were famous. His grandparents, so on and so forth. They're from the Biltmore. He's from the Biltmore family, right? That right there tells you. I mean, you're talking about Biltmore money, dude. That's some of the biggest money in the world. And two, this guy has yet. If you listen to him talk, it just all I can tell you, somebody who has had money, and I've had money, right? Lots of money. So much money that I couldn't spend what I was making. I had that life at one point. I've told you this is truth. I was a drug lord, you know. And to me, what he sounded like, in with all due respect, and I know he probably was trying to help, but it just sounded like two things. and I'll actually just one thing really combined white rich privilege. You know, like it is a different mourning process. I don't care who you are. Plus, the guy has not lost a child, and everything he was saying just sounded pompous rather than helpful. It sounded like I know what I'm talking about and listen to me. And I know that I probably talk that way sometimes too, and I get that, but there's a way to say that, or there's a way to have that message without sounding like a know-it-all jerk, but more of I'm passing this on to you because I have seen it, work multiple times. I try to speak from my experiences, rather than from my knowledge. And I know that that's probably like, well, isn't that one of the same? In many ways it is, but if you're talking from your knowledge base, then people hear you as a know-it-all, right? If you're talking from your experience base, then people see you more as someone who's experienced it all. And the latter makes people feel comfortable if you deliver it that way, because you're not acting like you know everything or have experienced everything. You're speaking confidently about things that you have experienced, and here's the outcome, and this is the way that it works, right? Just saying, think about it. It is all, it's all in how we deliver. I've been talking about this a lot lately, but I've got to do this rice test. My guess is it's uncooked. That's the only thing I don't know is it cooked or uncooked, right? But you take a piece of rice, put it in 3 different containers, speak nice, speak nasty, speak nothing, right? Nice, nasty, nothing. And within, like, I guess it's 2-3 weeks, something like that, maybe a month, all 3 of them will have gone through different processes and look completely different. So, I don't want to say completely different. They look remarkably different in the sense that it's very easy to tell the differences between them, right? And that goes to, I was talking about the other night, but that goes to the words have power. I've come to realize that more so than anything. I want to talk more about it because it works both ways, folks. Not only, they simply put, words have power, so you can use your words to lift somebody's day and have them feel better, or just the opposite, or you can use your words to do nothing, right? It's funny because I asked one of my sons today, do you like the idea of living a righteous life, right? I asked that question because I was trying to make a point about living a righteous life and totally got derailed with him because this is what happened. He started, he questioned, and with all, what's the word? He had every right to question, right? It was just, because of his questions. Hold on a second. Because of his questioning, I lost my point, which happens many times. It derailed me and I couldn't remember what it was. But everything happens for a reason. And I found out something rather interesting through the process because he was asking, or we ended up dissecting the word righteous. What does it mean to live a righteous life? And one of the first things that I said is a lot of people associate it with religion. It's not necessarily religion at all. Now, there's a lot of religious people that live righteous lives. To me, it's more, you're talking about the existential side of your life. If you're living a righteous life, what I've come to believe that is, excuse me, maybe get some more coffee up in this mofo. I believe you're living a righteous life if you are aware of your shortcomings, aware of your gifts, and you live every day to not only better yourself but better anybody and everybody around you, whether it's by helping them or lifting them up or whatever the case, I don't see how that's not righteous. And to me, it's not only righteous, but it's honorable. But it's, if you dissect the word righteous, it's about doing the right thing. Now, at the same time, I don't believe in the hardcore definition of right and wrong the same way I used to, because I believe that everything happens for a reason. So I've said this before, if you truly believe that, when bad things happen, or when you even make mistakes yourself and you do bad things, right? They really and that's what I mean, they're not, or wrong things, if you will. It's really not that they're wrong so much as they were negative, but it's all needed. I have a new, I can't stand it when they do that. Come on, focus. Like you wrap it around. That's just annoying, guys. It's just annoying. Um, so, there we go. Oh, where was I? Oh, and again, a righteous life. I don't know if this is exactly where I was, but I want to just say this and make it clear, because it's, to me, it's extremely important to know this. It is not perfect life. It's righteous. So if you're trying to live a righteous life, number one, you're not perfect. Number two, when you make mistakes, a righteous person is going to try to fix those mistakes, either in making amends or even changing a behavior, or both. And what I mean by that is, you make amends, and then you continue to change your behavior based on, what you learned from that experience, right? And where I was going earlier is, it's very hard for me to say right and wrong. However, because then I know somebody's like, so you don't have any rights, wrongs, everything you do is right no matter what. No, that's not it. In fact, how do I say it? It's about, righteous is also hand in hand with honorable. I would say living an honorable life. Fuck that. I'm just going to cut this, because then screw it. See, I was trying to get that damn sticker off and it was bothering me, but now it's going to be a lot easier. Living an honorable life, right? And that's really where right and wrongs still come in. You can totally look at a situation, there is rights and wrongs, right? Like, for instance, there's the 10 Commandments. All of those things to me are true. Those are basic humanity. And they, by the way, they're pretty much the same throughout other religions and other spiritual beliefs. What I mean by that, and a lot of people have never even thought about this. I was talking to somebody not too long ago, and they were like, I never looked at it that way, but you're right. Funny enough. But for instance, AA, Dr. Bob and Bill W. essentially created, you can say what you want, but an alternative religion that allowed you to find God in your own way. Okay, if you look at it, you have these 12 steps of life. The first 3, by the way, is essentially praying, right? It's admitting that whatever you're doing is causing your life to be unmanageable. The second one is that there is a higher power, God, right? And the third one is to ask the higher power for help. That's praying, folks. That's praying. And when you look at the rest of the steps, for instance, There's steps of taking an inventory of your entire life, and then you go and you right those wrongs. These are some of the things that you would do in, what's the word? Like a hardcore religious setting of a lot of places. And what I mean by that is, you have to look at your entire life and then go and amend all those. But then you can, because what they do is they call it inventory, right? But you inventory your life, everything good and bad. You then share that with somebody else so that there's no more secrets. At least one person you need to share it with, right? That's usually what's called a sponsor. But if you look at this, a sponsor becomes more or less like your preacher. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's a different way to find God. There's single words behind the steps, and the first three are honesty, hope, and faith, or faith and hope. I can't remember which one's which, but I mean, you get it. It teaches you, in my opinion, how to live a righteous life, because we do have morals. We have moral code that says, thou shalt not do this. I always thought it was funny, but you have to do the not, but I wish there was a different way of phrasing the 10 commandments, like, thou shalt let each other live and live and let live kind of thing. Because it's all the negatives. Thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that. But anyway, again, sometimes you just need to rephrase things for people to get the same message that has been presented to them their whole lives. And how do you say, it doesn't matter if you're a Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, Jewish, it doesn't matter. Muslim, they are all saying the same thing. And here's what I will put now. I can't say I know this 100%, but I firmly believe and have full faith 100% that all of them, including the old gods, by the way, and I know that means somebody's like, well, then you believe in more than one. I absolutely believe in more than one ultimate being. But back to the point, they all basically say the same thing. And I believe that they're teaching people how to find the same God. But if you tell people that, they just won't get it. But here's the reality. If you were an ultimate being, wouldn't you present yourself and your messengers, if you will, and that's what I mean by yourself, is present your messengers at the exact right moment for each and every group and type of people, which means different languages, as far as well as different times of evolution. Everything evolves, and if you take, which is why it was funny, because it was forced onto the Native Americans. Had they been left alone, I believe they would have naturally come to the fact that the Great Spirit is the same thing. And I mean, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's that massive energy that runs it all. And I absolutely do believe, even in the Bible. By the way, the Hindu faith, there's 9. And then several mythologies and gods of old is 9, like Zeus. Who was that? Both Zeus, Greek, and what's the other one? Not Egyptology. Roman. There we go. Roman. So both Greek and Roman, they basically have the same gods. And then like the Vikings, they have all those gods. And here's what I believe. When you read the Bible, it says that the phrase precisely is, God made us in their image or our image, or we made man. Man was made in our image. Either way, I can't remember the exact. I'm not trying to paraphrase, but wherever it says that, that phrase where it's talking about us being made in their image, there is it's used. It's either our OUR or their THEIR. I cannot remember which one. Now I'm going to have to go look for it later. But to me, it's not a slip up. It's a clue, right? There's an ultimate being. But I mean, seriously speaking, I'm sorry. Even if you're the ultimate being, number one, wouldn't you want to make some other ultimate beings like you and not be alone? I mean, I'm just saying, like, even it seems like to me that even God would get lonely if it's just God. So, thank God it's Griday. And yeah, I love that one. That one's a funny one to me. Righteous. Everything happens for a reason. If you're trying to live a righteous life and you believe that everything happens for a reason, then the reality is you do look at times and go, okay. I mean, it's quite reasonable to go, okay, that was supposed to happen and I was supposed to make that mistake, or I was supposed to do this because it led to this. And of course, that's not always privy to us right away. Sometimes the reasons happen days, weeks, months, years later, right? But they do happen. But it doesn't mean that I can go and kill somebody and it's okay, right? It doesn't mean that I can. I was trying to think of another one that made sense. Well, let's just say, it doesn't mean that I can go and cheat on my wife with someone else's spouse, right? And hurt that relationship, hurt that marriage. That's the covet thy neighbor's wife, right? It doesn't mean that it's okay to take from others that is not mine. Those are still fundamental. It's like the way that we have the 10 basic Bill of Rights, right? We have these 10 basic laws that pretty much state what is the way to live and what is not. So when someone starts doing these other things, like they are choosing to live in the dark side. I didn't kill anybody, but I pretty much broke all the other 10 commandments. I'm almost positive. The only one being I didn't kill anybody, I didn't rape anybody, and I didn't kidnap anybody. I didn't do anything horrible like that, but I was a fucking dickhead. And I mistreated a lot of people. I mean, I've discussed it on more than 1,500 occasions. So I think that it goes along with what we were talking about the other night. I believe it was King and I, Lucky and I. The once that you start examining your behavior and looking at it and deciphering it at all, right? Taking true inventory, going, okay, I should not have done that. It was supposed to happen, number one, because you have to learn from it. And there's usually other reasons. But once you learn from it, you're like, okay, when you're at that point, you are living, in my opinion, a pretty good life because you are constantly taking personal inventory and evaluating your behavior. You are fully aware. You're conscious of all that you do that is good and all that you do that is bad, right? That to me is a pretty damn good person. It goes on the same lines of if you are questioning your sanity, you have not crossed the line, right? You are still sane. It's only when that stops happening and you're doing some crazy shit and you don't even realize you're doing it. That's when you have a problem, you know. What I know is that if both of those things are true for yourself, you're not insane, right? Or let's just go with the positive. You are sane and you are acting out of love. I don't see how you can really get any more righteous than that. And I do consider it an existential thing. What I mean by that is it's existential and it's not anything, doesn't mean you have to go to church. It doesn't mean that you have to do any of that, right? I mean, even atheists and agnostics, right, who do not or question, either do not have God or question God, which is completely fine. They do not have to take God in necessarily to be living a righteous life. Okay. Because a lot of people, especially a lot of atheists, they look at the religion as it was made and created so that we had it and had a basis of rules. One thing that they agree on is that the rules were good. Most of them. I'll say obviously there's some that kill in the name of nobody, and don't care about it because they are atheists. But again, I don't believe you have to necessarily have God or have a higher power or a God of any kind in order to be living a righteous life. I think at some point, I don't even know. Here's the thing, the way that I look at God. Let's say you're an atheist your whole life, but you are just the biggest giver on the planet, and you give, and you even make lots of money, and you give. I can't imagine somebody who does that much for humanity when at the doors after life, God's like, yeah, you never said you believed in me. So plus, and this is a discussion for another hour. I do believe in God and I do believe in all that. I don't believe in the fire and brimstone versions of heaven and hell that have been presented to us in the Bible. I don't believe in the 77 either. In the month, I think what I've come to believe is if you're living a life that you're supposed to, and that is a righteous life, and you've done all these things, then your next life will be at a higher state of being. And I think that that's what ends up happening to us as we continue to, each time we do it right, we go at a higher level of consciousness. We are truly, I don't care who argues it. I know there's a lot of, I'm looking for my glasses. I thought I had them. I believe with each death, we either move up or move down. Okay. Because here's the thing that I've come to realize. Heaven is it is unrealistic based on everything we know about life, unless there is a completely different way of living that I am unaware of, or that this whole society and life as we know it is unaware of, that doesn't consist of good and bad, and the balance of karma, the fact that, good things cause bad and bad things cause good, and vice versa, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, just brain farted it. Oh, having said that, I firmly believe that the concept of a heaven or a hell is, hell, if anything, is probably more realistic, but you'll get what I'm saying. And even then it's not, and I'll explain it. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. If it's the only thing that's happening and you have nothing to balance out, you will become bored very quickly. This has been proven. So if heaven is supposed to be this perfect place, right? Like the way it's described, like Garden of Eden and all that, bad things still have to happen for you to appreciate. If you do not have the balance, then your appreciation for the good goes away. Same thing on the bad side. If you do not have a balance of what is good, then what's bad is just happening. It's just what it is. It carries no value if it's the only thing that's happening. And think about that. I know Christians don't want to hear that shit. I've actually talked to a few of them. They're like, "Oh, that just sounds horrible." I'm like, I think you're missing my point. I believe that the higher consciousness level that we live at, the better overall things are, right? But there still has to be a balance of negative things that happen. But I think as we move up at a higher level of consciousness, the negative things are not, death and war and all or not necessarily death. That's probably everywhere. But they're not necessarily the same things in the same level, right? I don't think you could ever live a life, though, that is either all good or all bad, because both of them sound like hell to me. And I don't know if anybody agrees with that, but they literally both sound like hell to me. I wouldn't want to be in a situation where it was just great things happening all the fucking time. I know a lot of you are like, "Fuck you, spirit, that's bullshit. I want it." Well, let me tell you something. Your mind and your body say something different. You're made up of atoms. They have a negative and a positive. You have to have a balance of both things happening in order to have any kind of an enjoyable life, right? And you will, whether you admit it or not. Everybody goes through it. Some people don't look at it that way. Some people do. But the simple fact is, everybody has good days and everybody has bad days, no matter what their station in life. Let's say you're a homeless person and a bum. There's days where you find a lot of the things you're looking for, and there's days where you can't get anything that you're looking for. That's simply good days and bad days. It doesn't matter. If you're rich and famous, there's days where nothing goes right. You can't get can't get anything you want. There's other days where you get everything you want. It is simply a balance. There's a little bit of sticky stuff. Sticky, icky. It's simply a balance. That's all there is to it. And I have really come to this place of understanding the balance, if you will. And that doesn't mean that I understand everything by all stretch. In fact, it has only brought about many more questions on another level. I'm not going to get into all that because I'm not trying to blow y'all's mind at where my mind's gone. But all I will tell you is that it is a firm reality that for every question I get answered, I get a minimum of 3 and typically more like 5 new questions, literally. So henceforth, the more I know, the less I learn, or the more I learn, the less I know. But yeah, I was saying something and now that's gone. I'm going to go ahead and do this dab. It's time to do this dab. I have another joint, but it is Friday night and I've already been on for like 35 minutes and nobody's even commented. Not that you have to, but nobody's commented. So I figure this is like the fewest number of people that have been in a while. So I'm also figuring this late at night, Friday night, people are either getting fucked up, drunk, or laid right now versus watching my stupid show, right? It's not stupid, but you get what I'm saying. My goofy show. Let's say that. That's not a down. I don't like to down myself. I don't like to hear other people down themselves. So don't do what you preach, or do what you preach, Spirit. I am praying that the balance starts to take effect a little bit in the other direction. But here's the thing. For me, I've come to realize that is totally up to me. And depression does not mean, this was a conversation that one of my sons and I were having today. Everything in your life could be going right and you're severely depressed. Depression does not mean that everything's going bad, right? Depression is a tricky monster. It is a mental thing. Like for instance, I am depressed. I can't sit and deny it, or else that's denying what I'm going through. But it's not a crippling depression. There's depressions that are crippling, that literally, people are catatonic, and they fucking sit and stare. Like there's literally that people that are that severely depressed. Okay. But what depression is it's a mental state where what I want to say for me is that I'm sitting on my ass and moping because something horrible happened to me that I haven't fully accepted. I think that's probably the way for me, right? And the depression goes, what's funny is I've become that was the spark. For instance, because I fell into this one, just being completely honest, I had felt like I had moved and turned a corner, and then October 22nd came around and it kicked my ass. And then right after that, the holidays, right? And it just kept kicking my ass. Oh shit. The depression was sparked, as I said, from the anniversary, the 22nd. But then, and I have to get this off my chest. No worries. Thank you so much, Princess. What I've come to realize is that this particular one has been sparked by that, but then it's the state of the world, it's the state of my personal household, the state of my family's health, with multiple people. This one was brought on to where it felt, and it's not the truth of me. So let me say this very much. I am grateful, I am thankful, and I am blessed. I have no idea how blessed I am. What I'm telling you is what I saw. What happened for me is all I paid attention to were all these negatives instead of the positives, right? That's what's up to us. That's the part that's up to us. You can either pay attention to all of what's happening to you, truly pay attention, right? Or you can just concentrate on one side or the other. And that's really where manic depression comes from, right? If you're manic, you're on a high because everything's going right, right? The reality is everything isn't going right. You're just paying attention to all the good things, and is insurmountable the right word? Either way, they are they're a greater sum than the opposite feeling. Same thing happens that can put you into the depression. It can start it, right? Is a series of let's say a series of misfortunate events that have all been negative, and it doesn't always mean you're losing something, right? But it's just negative that then puts you into this depressed state, right? Then you have a hard time seeing the positive again. Skylar's twin is dealing with this, and I truly feel for him because he's dealing with a lot of shit, but at the same time, he is choosing to pretty much what's that word? Isolate himself from the family, right? So he's going to work, he's doing his shit with the law, right? But then he's coming home and he just gets on his game and he's gone. And I like we have a family day every Sunday. He's maybe one out of every 6 Sundays he's going to stop by. Usually that's if there's something that he wants or he's getting. And I mean, come on. I was the same way. I'm not downing him for that. I'm just saying that's where we're at, you know. In fact, when I was 22, I told my parents to, on my birthday, 22nd birthday, if you haven't heard that story, I told my parents, particularly my father, to fuck off and don't speak to me anymore. I'm on my own, you know, blah, blah, blah. Didn't talk to my mom for 2.5 years and didn't talk to my father for 3.5 years. And it was one of the best things that ever happened to me because I found out that I could stand on my own 2 feet. I did not have to have them in my life for support. I could choose to have them in my life because they were my parents and I love them for what they gave to me. And that is, you know, A, life, and B, knowledge of how to live it. So he is kind of, I'm almost thinking that that's going to happen to him. I don't want to say that I want my son to cut me off, but there's a part of me that feels like it would do him good if and he doesn't have to go as long, because we have a really, you know, I worked really hard to have a beautiful relationship with my children, and I still do. And because of my, let's just call in a nutshell, my open door policy with them, I believe my goal when I was raising them, which everything changes when you look at it differently, but my goal in raising them is that they would always know I'd be there and they would never, you know, cut me off. But there's a part of me that goes, okay, maybe I should have implemented something like, you know, at 22, you can't talk to me for a year, you know. But that would be like something, no offense, but you would end up, there would be writing fucking newspaper articles and stories about listen to what this father does, you know, and then it's too extreme or whatever. So, but that said, there's truly a point of growth that happens when you stop dealing with parents. You know, some young adults go through it when they lose their parents for whatever reason, which is horrible, you know. Or I should say, by the time, like, because sometimes they only have a single parent, and then that parent dies when they're in their early 20s, right? That you don't have a choice but to fly. It's not like you can find the fucking nest again. That's it. You got to fly, right? So I get that. But unless a child has either cut off and truly said no, or vice versa, the parent has been like, and there's parents that do it, man. When I say that, you know, there's me saying a year is ridiculous because or wouldn't be that big of a deal if you would. It's ridiculous because there's parents that kick them out at 18, like, you're not going to live with me again. And they won't even help them. Like, my job is over. Believe it or not, there's parents that look at it like that. At 18, their job is over. You can't live here anymore. And they won't let them back in. Now, that has never been the case with, you know, even when I stopped talking to my father, my mother and my father always told me, I have a home no matter where I am. That's a good feeling. My children have the same feeling and understanding, right? Of course, 2 of them still live at home because they're 9 and 12. But anyway, what were you going to say? Who? Me. Okay. I'm trying to remember, actually. There was some place that I was going. It's probably straight to hell. Yes, yes, that's and I was trying that to me, the job over is kind of like there's parents that at 18, let me just say this, they straight up disown their kids. Like, you know, you can still call me, but that's like it. And then there's parents that literally write emails and uh in an email will tell their child, our job is over, don't contact us anymore. It didn't happen to me. I just happen to know somebody personally that happened to. So what I told that person is those people didn't understand what being a parent was. They never got it. And it's amazing, but some people never, ever do. True parents put their kids before them. Always. Always. I don't see any other way. And if anybody thinks that's weak or soft minded, it's my child, you know? And even if I have 7 of them, that means I'm split up into 7 pieces. You know, I know that sounds funny, but they each get an equal part, and I'm doing as much as I can. I don't baby them, and I still teach them lessons. They still understand. They don't get everything they want. They get restrictions. They get things taken away, but always, they know that they always have me until I die. Which, on a side note, I cannot tell you. Part of this depression has been a lot of, and I'm trying to get over it. It's been a lot of thinking about death, and I don't want to scare anybody and make you think that I'm thinking about off myself. I don't. I made a personal deal with my father. I made a personal deal with God. That I'm not going to take that way out, and I made some of those deals a long time ago, and then some of them I made recently and reiterated them, if you will, due to losing him. But I have been contemplating a lot of different things. I was trying to even, and I know this may sound juvenile to some of you, but being that it was, excuse me, hello, being that we just went through the Christmas holidays, it was very easy to do the "It's a Wonderful Life" scenario, and it just made me realize, like, it really wakes you up. Like, first of all, none of the kids would even be around, right? None of my kids would be around. Number one. Number two, all the things that my wife and I have done for each other, and my parents and I have done for each other, that would all be stripped away. Just on that level, that would all, not to mention all my friends and everybody that I've come into contact with. I'm now 51. My circle of contact, my 6 degrees of separation, if you will, is as large as it's ever been. So, all I can tell you is, um, when you truly take a look at what the world would be like had you never been born, that is a good exercise to becoming grateful and thankful for who you are, right? It really hurts me. It hurts me to my soul to watch people believe that their station in life is equivalent to their worth in life, because it's not. And I can just give you one quick example. Most people who have, and I'm saying most, not all, but most people that have either political fame, entertainment fame of any kind, music, television, plays, whatever, most of them, their parents were nobody. And what I mean nobody is they had no fame, right? And their parents before them had even less fame because their kids were never famous. I'm only saying this because it doesn't matter how famous you are, you're just as important, and you're either one of those famous people or somewhere you have helped make one of them. The point is, no matter how much money, power, fame you have, your life, the worth of your life, is just as equal as the president, as a bum on the street, as your child, technically speaking. But here's the difference between a parent and somebody else. Anybody who's a parent, the child's life becomes more than theirs. It's just, and they're your grandchildren alike. Your offspring have a greater value naturally to you, just to you directly, right? And what I mean by that is any parent would say, well, if somebody has to go, take me. They haven't lived as much, no matter whether you're 16 years old when you had the kid or whether you're 28 years old when you had your kid. They haven't lived nearly as much. So take them. That's the only time that the worth is unbalanced is between parent and child. But otherwise, you're equal to everybody else. And, the real, well, what did I do with it? Oh, there it is. The real trick, or excuse me, the real thing to keep in mind is you will not be able to see it necessarily. Like, let's say you're somebody that really has to see this working for you to believe it, and you're like, well, there's nobody in my life, there's nobody, I'm not attached to anybody. Well, study the concept of 6 degrees of separation. Okay, what you do matters. It touches so many other people, and you don't realize how something you did touches this person, and then so on and so forth and so on and so forth. And any one of those other people could be a sports star, a superstar, an entertainment star, a politician, a writer. It doesn't matter. You won't know that, but the world and karma will. And that's all that matters. That is all that matters, except I'm blind as shit. I'm blind. I don't have my glasses, so let's see. I'm not trying to do the biggest, fattest dabs in the world right now anyway. I'm trying to be conservative. Conservative only in my weed, not in all my thinking. Although I do have a lot of conservative thoughts. One of the things that's a reality, the older you get, the more conservative your thinking becomes naturally, because you have lived so much. Just in one single thought, at 51, you probably are thinking a hell of a lot longer about it. If you've never been skydiving, you're going to have a much longer thought than if you're 22 and have the opportunity to go, hey, fuck it, let's do it. Then at 51, you got kids, like no kids, no nothing at 22. 51, you got kids to live for, you got other things, you got people depending on. You're like, I don't know if I want to go jumping out of a plane with just this thin fabric that I'm supposed to believe is going to cushion my blood. I just don't know. I don't know if that sounds worth it. How about a steak at Outback? I know that sounds horrible, but how about a fucking sirloin special from Outback, and I spend less than $20 and have a great time? Huh? I'm just saying. I'd probably not get the bloomin' onion. I don't dig the bloomin' onion, but I do love shrimp on the barbie. There was a time, folks, that I ate Outback 3 nights a week, easy, if not more. I would eat it, take it home, have a dinner the next night, and then eat it again. The only thing that would change is sometimes I'd go to a Japanese steakhouse. I'm telling you, the money was not an issue at that time. It is only $20. What was I talking about? What was I talking about? I'm talking about if I go to Outback and I just buy myself a meal. I guess that's changed too, hasn't it? Yeah, because it used to be, I know it used to be $11.99, then I watched it go up to $13.99. It's probably, I'm guessing, for the special, probably maybe $16.99, and then you have drink gratuity, and tax. You're not going to get out of there for less than, if you're Penny pincher, you might be able to get out of there for $25 if you're leaving a tip. You can get it for less if you skimp them. But most likely, like me, I would probably be in $28-30 just for myself to make sure to leave a good gratuity, because I truly believe in gratuity. I worked those tough towns. No, I mean, I did, but I worked, I was a bartender, server for many years. I got a lot of sales understanding there, because it's nothing more than commission. Anybody who argues has never had the job. But basically, if you think about it, you already get it. What are you supposed to get? What are you supposed to tip somebody when you go out? You're supposed to tip them 15%, right? Funny enough, that has even the expected average has gone up, because there's many establishments that if you have more than 5 people, gratuity is added, and it's an 18% gratuity, just so you know. So the minimum that someone should get is 15%. What is that 15% of? It's total. So how does this work? You go in going, okay, I want to make some good money tonight, and you're going to try to sell $1,500, maybe $2,000, right? You sell $2,000 worth of stuff, even at the minimum of 15%, you just made $300 that night. It's a commission-based job. The only difference is you're running around for the commission. You're huffing it. Same thing with bartending. How many drinks can you serve in one night? How nice can you be? Oh, you like that drink? Here, take this, asshole. And you're gonna get tipped well. That's all there is to it. And by the way, most decent servers or bartenders are usually bringing home an average of 20, 25, even 30% because of their skill. If you're not bringing that, you usually don't last long in the game, because you haven't got what it takes, and you don't understand how to be a nice person and work for your money. I'm trying to find out right now. I'm just trying to think of myself. How did I get from karma, where I was, to sales, where I am? But one thing I will say, and then I'm probably going to go ahead and take off. I believe that sales is everything we do. What I mean by that is this world is based on commerce. Originally, it was trading, goods and services for one another. Now it's trading dollars for those same goods and services, but it's still the same, even beyond the dollar bill. And let me just give you a point real quick before you go. Just hear this. When you go on an interview, you and the company that you are interviewing with are both selling, and your hope is that you both want to buy, that you like the job and they like you enough to hire you, but you are selling yourself for the job. They even tell you that, they teach you that you got to sell yourself. What's the word? Sell. You have to sell the opportunity. Whoever you're trying to get this job from has to sell you the opportunity that they're the place to work for, right? Same thing happens, by the way, with any relationship of any kind, whether it be a partnership or just a standard friendship or a lover. You are selling them to even get them to take notice. Hey, I'm the guy that you should hang out with tonight and shoot pool with. I'm the guy that you should date, right? That you should take home and have breakfast with in the morning. Whatever it is, you're selling them. And if they have any interest in you, by the way, if they start to buy, then they're selling you. Hey, what I have is sunshine and a crotch, right? Whatever. They're trying to sell you for the same reasons that you are trying to sell them, and that's when you're both mutually buying. And that is really, except for when you're doing a job, most of our selling is mutual that we do in this world. But if you look at the word and you really understand it, it really is selling. Okay. You can call it persuasion and manipulation and all those other things, though I don't like to call it that, because it's living. You have to present yourself to other people And what I mean by that is that you're the one. Like, so I don't think you need to be fake. That's not what I'm saying. I had a long conversation about that other day. Be yourself, because then you're going to attract and impress the people you want to have. But how do I say this? There's a way to be yourself and sell yourself, and there's a way to be yourself and do the opposite. And there's a way to be yourself and just do nothing. You know, it's like the rice thing I talked about earlier. All three have different measures and different outcomes. But you must sell yourself in this world. In fact, I think a lot of people, like these people with social anxieties, a lot of these social anxieties, I think, is because they realize I have to sell myself, and that means they've got to talk more. They have to do more. They can't just get by with, you know, being a beaker, if you want, and just move on. You know, you can be in the background if you want, but you still have to communicate. You have to have basic communication skills, and you have to sell yourself on you're the guy that should be in the background. The unspoken brain attack. I know I did that on purpose, not brainiac, brain attack. Okay. Go down to windpipe. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I'll be back Tuesday. I hope all of y'all have a wonderful, blessed weekend. I don't think there's really much more to say. I don't want to sit here and repeat myself, and sometimes that ends up happening because I can't remember what I said at the beginning of the stream. And that's just simply the truth. Therefore, I hope everybody has a wonderful, blessed evening. I do love each and every one of you. Hopefully you realize why I tell you every time, it doesn't matter who you are. You're just as important as anybody else. And you're incredibly special because of that. You have a part to play in this game called life, just like we all do. In life, how do you say, there's key players that everybody sees, and then there's extras, but they're all just as important as everybody else. That is the truth of it. The only difference is in life, we end up paying the other ones more. But don't worry about that. That when you stop living for money and live for love, the money will come, especially when you need it. So have a wonderful, blessed weekend. We're just now getting started, right? Tomorrow's Saturday and then Sunday. So we have nice, right now at the beginning of the weekend. I hope everybody has already had a wonderful night tonight. Maybe you went out and had a few shots, or you just smoked bong. I personally don't like alcohol. So hopefully a lot of y'all were smoking your weed and having a good time. I will be back, like I said, Tuesday, and just keep on remembering, when it's bad, it's going to get good. Okay. And you are incredibly special. You're incredibly important. And I love each and every one of you unconditionally. And with that, have a blessed evening. Peace.
I switch hit, I'm a strange fuck. Consistent ain't something I could say well. Throw my change into the wishing for a change well. Wish a day is swell life for the next come. And when the next come, pretend that it's the best one. Like I ain't even gonna try and say that to the next one.